In 2010, we were just a normal family. We had just moved to Nashville in April, had 3 healthy, beautiful little girls. We did everything that normal families do, went to the park and played. And I remember once we were at the Dragon Park just across the street from Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. There was a man there on his cell phone, and he was talking about his daughter who was across the street in the hospital. And I said to Christy that day, aren't we lucky to be out here in the park playing with our little kids, having no idea, of course, what was just weeks away for us at that time.
I can remember the doctor coming in and saying that she had cancer. I was standing at the end of the bed, and Story was in the bed, and Devon was sitting next to her. And I can remember looking at the doctor and not wanting to look away because I wanted to get every word she was saying. But I wanted to look over at Devon, like, you know, you just can't believe the words you're hearing. Like, is this true? Is this what she's saying? You know, really what it is.
Sorry. I really don't remember it because as soon as we saw, we were still sitting in the emergency room, and we saw a team of oncologists walk in. Or I remember seeing a name tag that said oncology, and that's all I remember.
When they took us up to the 6th floor is when it really, that's the cancer floor. And I remember getting off the elevator and seeing, you know, a bald kid pushing the IV down the hall, and you just think, this is not where we're supposed to be. We don't belong with these people. They took us to the wrong place. Really, I had a feeling of I just wanted to pick her up and run.
It took a little while to get her diagnosis right because she had kind of a rare form of leukemia. It's called mixed lineage leukemia, where she actually had 2 different types of leukemia. So she had T-cell ALL and AML. So it was a rare and high-risk leukemia. I mean, you end up with a sick child in the hospital, but because we have other kids, and there's a whole nother element to it, because when somebody gets cancer, it affects the entire family. You know, I remember once Lyric, our oldest, I guess she was 6 at the time, old enough to understand that Story was really sick, but too young to really fully understand everything that was going on. One time I walked in her room, and she was in her closet crying, and I was saying, what's wrong? And she said, is Story gonna die? And you know, how do you respond to that?
You know, she was so little, she doesn't remember a lot of it. And I have mixed feelings about that because she's going to be dealing with the side effects for the rest of her life. And so I think it's a good thing that she doesn't remember a lot of it because she went through hell. I mean, you sit down with the doctors, with the transplant doctor before the transplant, and he tells you all these horrible things that he's going to do to your child so she can live. And it's like, you know these things are going to affect. I mean, you know, there's a very good chance she won't be able to have children, and that decision was made when she was 4.
Yeah.
And we had to make that knowing that this was going the rest of her life, she was going to face these side effects of what we chose to do to her.
That's also why we're involved with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I mean, it's one of the biggest reasons for me is because not only do we need to cure cancer, but we need to find cures that don't cause harm. And I think we can do that, and I think LLS is working on that and making that happen. So, you know, I am in awe of the people who do this. It's a tremendous amount of work, and it takes a lot of time and effort, and you have to be passionate about it. And thank you is the biggest thing that I would say, and you're making a difference.
Thank you for all your hard work.
So when Story got cancer, our entire family was affected in a number of ways, but we were very, very fortunate in that Lyric, Story's older sister, was a perfect match for the bone marrow transplant, and Lyric donated her bone marrow for Story. And ultimately saved Story's life. And Cadence, she was only 2 and 3 years old at the time, and she wanted to shave her head when Story lost all her hair. Cadence shaved her head so that Story wouldn't feel as different from everyone else. And you know, so it was a family a family thing that we went through, and we're stronger now for it, I think.